Welcome to the Chronic Health Collective. Your fresh start begins here. We've gathered powerful coaches and experts to help you reclaim your energy, heal from the inside out, and step into a life that feels vibrant, aligned, and deeply fulfilling. If you're ready for better health, stronger relationships, and more purpose, you are in the right place. So, thank you for being here. I am Kelly Fox, one half of Fearless Generations. Usually, I might have Terry here with me, but today I am here with Charlene McBlain, which I'm so excited to bring here to the Chronic Collective, Health Collective, so that you can hear from her and gain from her as well. She is also a fearless living coach, which is what Terry and I are. And so, Charlene, welcome.
Thank you, Terry. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, excited to have you. So, this month we're talking about freedom, alignment, and flow, and how all of those things work together. So, on this first segment, before we go to commercial, let's talk about freedom. What does that We talk a lot about freedom and fearless living. So, what does freedom mean to you?
Freedom means to me to not doubt myself. So it's kind of like the opposite of living in fear, where I might hold myself back or doubt myself, or just not say what I need to say, like not necessarily standing in my truth. If I'm making myself small or those kind of things, then I'm not really living in freedom. So, freedom to me is much more expansive, alive, joyful. That's freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think of if you think about fear and how you are in fear, freedom is the opposite, right? So
Totally.
you're trusting yourself, you're living your big life, you're taking those risks, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, you're continuing to practice your routines and you're holding your boundaries and all of that good stuff. Um,
Mhm.
and so I love that definition. And I realized, Charlene, we didn't really get to hear kind of like who you are and where you're from, which someone might have noticed when you were talking that you're not from America. So why
Yeah,
don't you tell us
I'm
a little bit about yourself?
sure. I am from Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. And it's a kind of like a mini California, people would um, define it as a tiny. We have lots of wineries and orchards and fruit orchards and a big lake and lots of golf. So it's a very amazing place to live. Lots of people come and travel here for vacations. And I don't know, what do you want to know about me? I've been married for 42 years. I've been a
So
salon
cool.
stylist for 42 years in behind the chair. And now the last 5 years, I am a life coach, because all of my clients would bring many problems to me. And I didn't always know how to solve them. Not that I was looking to solve them or fix them. It was always a good, safe place for people to talk and tell me their stories. But the questioning of being a coach is so very beneficial to my clients now. There's quite a different spin in the salon today.
Yeah, I bet. I love that. I love that. A little bit of freedom, encouragement when you go get your hair done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wish I lived closer. I'd come to you for sure. So yeah, I love that. And I think those having those kind of people around you is what supports you to stay in freedom. You know what I mean? That's why I love our community of coaches and how I could just put out a hey, who wants to come on this show with me? And Charlene's like, yeah. And then she's like, well, what are we talking about? Is it a surprise? And I'm like, I told her like just, this morning, this is what we're talking about. And she's like, cool, she's up for it. And I think that's her being in freedom, being able to just step in and say, yeah, just say yes. And not know all of the details or all of the nitty gritty, just being open and willing to step into the possibility.
Absolutely. I'm also like part of a Toastmasters group for over 20 years, and that really tests the comfort zone to be able to speak out loud some of your ideas and your thoughts and be creative. So whenever you step on the stage, you are in the unknown and you're facing your fears and you're doing it anyway.
So true. So true. I love that. I think we talk a lot about fear in fearless living,
Hmm.
understanding fear, understanding what triggers it, what motivates it, what we do when we're in it,
Hmm.
all of those kinds of things. And I think sometimes we can focus a little bit more on fear than we focus on freedom. And so,
That's
what
true.
do you feel like? Um, the most important things you want your clients or even yourself to think of or to do when they're in freedom or to maintain freedom.
Yeah, I think you can't necessarily live totally in freedom without facing your fears. So, I mean, my understanding or how I view it is we have lived more in fear than we have in freedom. And hence we know fear more than we know freedom. Not saying in every part of our life, there's just certain parts where you just get to be free to be with that friend or that cohort where you can say anything, do anything. It's not never taken the wrong way. It's you are certainly just understood and allowed to make mistakes. And so there's that creativity and that flow in freedom. And it just doesn't happen everywhere you go. Sure, it would be fantastic if it did, but that's not really real life case. So I think the reason why we talk more about fear is when we're aware of it in those certain situations where we're doubting ourselves or not necessarily trusting ourselves to be able to speak freely and do all of the things and be creative, then we have to be aware of what we're doing instead. So then we can make that shift. So going from fear to freedom is a shift point, but
Yeah.
it's like really a conscious decision. Oh, I see fear coming up in me. I see how I'm behaving. I see how I might be making myself smaller or confining myself. Then how do I want to take action now? Right? Might be that question. And
Yeah.
so just asking that question is the decision point to either shutting yourself down and living in fear or saying no, I can speak up, I can go talk to that other person at this networking event or whatever situation you're in. I can use my voice and just see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And I think that, awareness is the first principle of change. So we have to be aware before we can make any kind of change or shift or new action, regardless if it's small or big. So I love that. And I think, the, well, the first step on the wheel of freedom that we've talked about is knowing your essential nature, knowing that thing that you deny yourself the most, right? So mine is trusting.
Okay.
And so when I trust myself to take a proactive step, that's me stepping into freedom. I might still be scared,
Yeah.
but I'm stepping into freedom by trusting myself and taking a proactive step. So, I try to encourage our clients to have at least five go to anytime or place proactive behavior that they can do. What are your top five proactive behaviors?
Great question, Kelly. What are my top five? My top five, sometimes I just need a little bit of space. So If something's happening and I can feel myself shutting down, I first of all can just take a breath. I don't have to answer immediately to anything. I can just take a moment. I can tell somebody my process too, like I need a moment. So I can speak it out loud. And I can just say, excuse me, and I can go off to the washroom or just change things up. Sometimes I just need to change position as well. You know, just kind of, not to say I'm going to spin out in a dance or anything, but it could happen. But
Yeah,
I
never
just
know.
like move my body a little bit and just kind of change the atmosphere, change the energy that I'm feeling or what's going on. And then usually I if I'm not clear, which is usually what happens when I'm in kind of fear, there's usually something I don't understand. There's usually something I'm not quite getting right. So I tend to ask more questions to get more clarity so then I can breathe a little bit better. Because then if I'm just saying, usually these kind of situations come up in relationships, in a conversation for me mostly. So
Uh-huh.
that's when it's like when another person is there, how do I want to behave? What do I need to know? What am I not understanding? So when I put it back onto the other person, and get them to explain exactly what they mean, then sometimes it's not anything of what I thought of in my head that was going on.
Yeah.
You know? When I'm by myself, if something traumatic has happened, I like to journal, or I like to vent with a friend, along with the venting rules, so don't get too caught up. But my favorite is the 4A's tool.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love the 4A's.
the 4A's is literally my favorite tool of all.
Yeah.
And do you want me to explain the 4A's to
Yeah,
you?
let's jump in. I mean, just a
Yeah, I mean, the
short
4A's have
explanation.
recently changed. There's
Yeah.
new language to the 4A's, but that just happened a couple of weeks ago, which is amazing. But for me, the 4A's is to acknowledge,
Knowledge.
yeah, acknowledge the feeling that's going on for me and kind of label it and name it, like label the fear that's happening. How am I feeling? And then really allow time and space to process those feelings. So that is the original. And with that would be the things that I just said. You might be able to vent, you might be able to move, you might be able to journal, go for a run, do something, do some proactive behaviors, just to not let the feeling sit and get stuck inside your body. That's the main
Yeah.
thing. And then ask yourself what you're committed to, and what's the big goal, what's the bigger picture, and then act on that commitment. So what's the action that I need to take to move forward on that commitment?
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like a lot of the times the step that gets skipped is allow.
Mm,
And people just want to go from, okay, it's there and I'm going to take action, they just want to move through the process really quickly, and I feel like allow is the one that can kind of get forgotten, and that you allow yourself to sit with it, but you also allow yourself to challenge it, like,
yeah.
am I making this up or is it true? Do I have the information? Is the information I have correct, or am I making it up? And really challenge what it is that's going on. What is the thought process that's going on? What are the feelings that are going on? And give yourself time to feel them and to question them
Mm-hmm.
and to process them, and then move on. Okay, so yeah, this happened, but I really want this. So when I take action, I'll do this. Not like that initial of like, bah, right? Like, mm,
Yes.
reaction that I want to have.
Yeah, and that allow time to process. So here's where I think it's flipped. Now I don't have it in writing, and I just learned it, or am learning the new language of the four A's. But that's actually, I love what you said. Like it's also the choice point. So you can kind of name. So you can name your trigger with the first A. Acknowledge you're being triggered. The second A is allow that time to process, but you're also allowing yourself time to process your choice. Which one do you want to choose? Like you're picking freedom over fear. Like, are you going to allow fear to take hold of you? So yeah, feeling your feelings is fabulous, but when you're making that choice point is which feeling do you want to go with?
Yeah, I love that. And that totally leads us into what we're going to be talking about after the commercial break of align. So, are those choices in align with who you are and how you want to show up? So, we'll go to commercial right now and we'll be back in a little bit.
Perfect.
Everything we're made of contains light. From the sun that feeds our world to the energy that flows within us. With LifeWave X39, we've found a way to put that light to work. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHK-Cu, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality. By gently stimulating the skin with light, our non-invasive, non-transdermal X39 patches help you conquer your active lifestyle and pave a new way to vibrant health. Becoming a powerhouse is easier than you think. It all starts with your body and a little help from light. Place one LifeWave X39 patch on the body. Apply the patch to clean, dry skin in the morning. Patches may be worn for up to 12 hours before discarding. Keep well hydrated while using this product. Harness your natural potential. Reclaim youthful energy. Live long, live well, live young with LifeWave X39. Be the light. LifeWave.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness, Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative Sandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. It's time to unlock your inner glow with Coolness. Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Hello, welcome back, So, we were, just before the break, we started talking about the 4As and how that allow also comes down to choice. And what are we choosing? What did we choose to start feeling, our fear come on? Was it a choice that didn't align? Was it a choice that did? So really looking at those actions that we're taking to see if they are in line and what those feelings come, if they are, if they aren't. So what does alignment? Let's always start. I love defining words because, yes, there is an actual definition of the word, but we all define words differently because of our own life experience and just what we think and feel about the word and what comes to mind when we say it. So, what does alignment mean to you?
Alignment means similar to integrity. So, for the definition of it, for me, is that you do what you say you're going to do. Your actions match your words. Basically, that's how I simplify it. Are my actions, and that being said, sometimes, different priorities come up. When I say I'm going to do something, I usually am going to show up and I'm going to do it. Yet, can I now give myself the permission to maybe not make that my top priority?
Yeah.
So that can also be more in alignment with my values and what for me, top priority could be family at the moment. And if something's taking me away from that and I'm just doing way too many things that I have on my plate because I've said yes too many times,
Yeah.
keeping in alignment might be dropping something off of that plate.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. When I think of alignment, it's really getting to the core of who you are, like really being aware of what your values are,
Mm,
who you want to be, what is important to you, and then, you know, going to that baseline when you're making choices. So because a lot of opportunities can present themselves, especially when you're in freedom. And that's what we just talked about. So, what is a good opportunity and what is the best opportunity, right? Like a lot of things might feel like, yeah, that would be exciting or that sounds really great, but it may not be the thing that's going to take you in the direction that you want to go. It may be good, but it's not the best or it's not great, right? And so, really getting clear on what is it that you really want and what's going to take you there, and making sure that your choices are in alignment with that, so that um so that you're you're
re-
following along, you're staying in alignment uh with all of that.
Yeah, and I think it's really easy to get out of alignment, You're taking those opportunities that seem good, but maybe they're not the best one. So, really to sit down and I think even, a lot of people struggle with that part of aligning what's the next best step versus taking all the opportunities and feeling like you're flexible and I can do this and I can do that and just keeping adding so many things on the plate versus sometimes those things that you do can be more of a distraction
Yeah.
than keeping you focused on where you really want to be headed and what are your core beliefs and your values. And
Yeah. And I think also allowing for things that maybe aligned with you at one point don't necessarily align with you now. Like
true.
some things about who you were and what you stood for may not be something that it may not be a part of who you are and what you stand for now. And so, yes, that alignment might shift over time. What's important to you in this season might be different than the last. And so, where do you want to focus your energy, your time, and all of that? Because that's one thing that we don't get more time, right?
Yeah.
Time is a finite, thing that we have. We only get 24 hours in a day, but how we're using that time what we're doing during that time can definitely shift, right? Can definitely change. So we might feel like we had 26 hours, or we might feel like we had 10, right?
Yeah.
Because of how that, um, well, and we're going to be talking about flow. So depending on that flow when it comes to your alignment and the choices that you're making. And I think for me, one thing that kind of challenged me was putting a name or to my values, putting a name to what this thing that is important to me is called this.
Okay.
And
Give me an
you know,
example.
yeah, well, okay, so like um I'm I'm very loyal to
Right?
people.
Yeah.
Okay. But putting the word loyal didn't seem to like fit. It didn't seem like, is that really a value, or is that maybe just a trait? Right. So it's like defining what is a value and what is, maybe a personality trait,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or, something like that. Family is something that is very important to me, right? And that's not a personality trait, right? So family is something that I definitely value. I put energy towards it. I put emotion and thought and time into my family. um but I also like travel
Yeah. Yeah.
and connecting and friends, and so sometimes that time away, connecting and traveling, takes away from
The family.
family time, right? Or family, the family budget, or
Mhm. True.
things like that. So it's like balancing out those things that are important to you, that you make time for, that you keep energy for, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like a balancing act, a compromising, right? Where can I go and play, and where do I need to get busy?
Yeah.
And I think, doing, there can be too much of a good thing, right? We can't be playing all the time because we need to stay focused on the important things. So, really, having that alignment is hugely important to living your best life. You can be working all the time and going for every goal post
Yeah.
because you're never going to make it there. A lot of, what it reminds me of is there's creativity when you're in flow to do the other things that are also important to you, like business or whatever it might be. But you can't you can't tap into that creativity unless you've had that amount of playtime, that flexibility just to be and to be living in that freedom points, in those
Yeah.
pockets.
Yeah, so true, so true. And I think when we're aligned, it's easier to, as I said, trust myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And take that proactive step, which
Mm-hmm.
creates that flow, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these things that we're talking about can kind of come into play at any point, in the access or the choice point, right? To keep us moving forward, to keep us in freedom, to keep us aligned, to keep us in flow. Um, so alignment, I feel, is that sometimes can be that foundational level of being grounded. Like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
grounded in? What keeps you grounded? And I feel like what keeps you grounded are those values, those core beliefs, um, those things that are important to you are the things that keep you grounded. Those universal truths, or those things that you build your foundation on. Those are the things that keep you grounded. And when you feel like you're up here floating around, it's a time to go, oh, okay, am I making aligned choices with my foundation, with with what I'm grounded in. And that's, if you're not, then that's an opportunity to trust yourself and make a choice that's more proactive and more aligned with who you are.
Yeah, and so I love that you say that. It makes perfect sense, but I wonder sometimes, even as you're talking, you know, many of my clients don't really know what their actual core values are. And so that can take you completely out of alignment, because if you're not in tune with what your priorities are and what your values are and your needs are, then you are kind of wobbling around, taking all the opportunities and staying out of alignment. So, the proactive steps to that would be to investigate really what are your core needs and your values and your belief system. Who do you think you are, or who do you want to be? And then it comes back to integrity. When you say it, when you solidify it, then can you act on that?
Yeah. Can you live by it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And I think sometimes we definitely can not see ourselves for who we are. And that's down to having those good people around you who can say, Kelly, you are this, Charlene, you are this. And we get to go, okay, how does that sit with me? Does that ring true? Just like if you have a friend that's not supportive and says, Kelly, you're this, you can say, you know what? That's not who I am. So you have those opportunities to ask for support from those people who see you for more than you see yourself, and say, oh, okay, yeah, I am that type of person. Yes, I do value those types of things. Yes, this is important to me, because you're showing it through how you're showing up, the choices you are making, the way you speak, how you treat people.
Yeah.
Those people around you can know a lot about you by being around you.
No, for
And
sure.
if they're telling you something that's not what you see, it's your opportunity to go, okay, am I just not aware of this?
Yeah.
Am I beating myself up too much? Or what am I putting out for someone to get this from me?
Yes. Yeah. That's a big one. That's a big one. I got hit with that when I went on holiday with a girlfriend. What she was perceiving, I was saying, was not how I intended things to be. But yeah, it was like, okay, how am I speaking? So I had to really check myself. How am I speaking? What am I saying out loud? How is she perceiving this way? Because that was not how I intended. So yeah, it was a good checkpoint for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It always comes back to awareness, right? This is
Yes, it
another
does.
point of tapping into that awareness and seeing, okay, what am I putting out? What are people
Yeah,
seeing?
yeah.
Um, and what do I want to reflect? What do I want to be putting out? And also, are the people around me wanting that as well? Is that the type of environment that I want to be in? People who are wanting to reflect these things as well, people who value the same things that I value, people who support me and encourage me and uplift me, and see the best in me. And then that's also, okay, well, maybe this place over here isn't in alignment with me anymore. And it's an
Mhm.
opportunity to walk away, or it's an
Yeah.
opportunity to limit, um, the
Connected.
time you're in that other
Yes.
place, or you're dealing with those other people, right?
Mhm.
Because you can see now that they're not in alignment with
Yeah.
who you are and who you're becoming.
Yeah. That definitely has happened to me for sure. All of those. Um, Sometimes you just need to realign with who you are becoming. When you make changes, sometimes people don't like it,
Yeah.
especially when you're, doing it for the better. They like the old person better. You know, they
Yeah.
don't necessarily align with the person you're becoming. And so that
Yeah.
can happen.
Yeah, it can happen. It can happen both ways, right? Like,
Yes.
it's like, oh my gosh, Charlene, you're just showing up with so much energy and confidence lately. I love it. Or there could be the one that's like, dude, simmer down, get control
Yes.
again, right? You're gonna experience both kinds of people,
Totally.
both kinds.
Yeah,
So,
totally. That happens all the time.
yeah, yeah,
What, were you on the wall when I? Yeah.
yeah,
It
yeah.
happens.
All right. Well, I am loving this conversation. We are gonna go for our next commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to be talking about flow.
All right.
Is your skin aging, dry, tired, and dull? Are you putting on more and more makeup to cover the fine lines and flaws? Now you don't have to. Coolness Skincare, developed by a middle-aged woman just like you. 2 years in formulating. Pearlescent face and eye serum cream with Schisandra berries and dragon's blood extract for your face, eye, and neck. And the vegan version, Deep Love Face Cream, featuring powerful blue tansy. This face cream is everything you are looking for. Feel your beauty. Visit coolness.com or scan the QR code for more information.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I am Kelly Fox with Fearless Generations, and I'm here with Charlene McBlain, who is my friend and fellow Fearless Living certified coach. And I am so excited to be here talking about freedom, alignment, and flow. We've talked a lot about freedom and alignment so far, which I feel like just goes right into flow, right? When you can be aligned, when you're in freedom, that usually causes you to get into flow. Flow, I think, can be described in a few different ways. So I'm excited to hear, Charlene, how do you describe flow and what does it look like for you?
So flow for me is that part of my wholeness on my wheel of freedom, and for me it's oh goodness, I've forgotten my word. But it's about connection. It's intimacy. So flow for me is intimacy, and intimacy for me is being connected, being seen, being heard, listening, being in the moment, like very, very present. You're not in your head. I'm not in my head, like I'm in my body, kind of able to use all of my five senses. So
Yeah.
that can be with somebody, like with a person. And of course, it doesn't have to be like intimacy. When I say intimacy, it can be any person. It doesn't have to be sexual intimacy. It can just intimacy is connection for me, a deeper sense of being.
Yeah.
And it can also be in the environment or with an animal, just really being present in flow where you're happy, you're joyful. You don't have to worry about anything with that particular person or whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love the word intimacy, and it's something that I definitely think about with because my word this year is connection,
Okay.
and so wanting to really connect at a deeper level with people. Not just on the surface, but really listening and being that safe space and seeking out safe spaces to really open up and be vulnerable and allow that intimacy to come in, and have it be a really genuine, connection with someone. And of course, you're not going to connect with everybody that way.
No.
There's a certain level of trust and familiarity usually with someone like that, but or commitment, right? But really looking for um, that vulnerability. That's the word that kind of comes up for me. That vulnerability of that comes with intimacy. And I
Mhm.
love that you mentioned like an environment, because I don't think I've ever really thought, like the picture that came to my head when you said that, I was like, oh, like being out in nature or being at the beach, and allowing, the connection to the elements, the wind, the sand in your feet, the whatever it might be. And I was like, ooh, I haven't thought of that before. I
Mhm.
haven't thought of it on that, in that type of situation. So I love that you said that. For me, flow is kind of like where um time just kind of disappears,
Yeah.
where you're lost in what you're doing. You're not checking your notifications on your phone. You're not you know just you're not off here thinking about this or off here thinking about this, but you're zoned in. You're fully present. You're trusting. For me, it always comes to trusting. You're trusting yourself in the moment. You're going with your intuition. You're energized. That's what in the flow for me is. It's just like, being dialed in and interrupted, in the sense
Oh, you're.
of this, but
Oh,
you're
you
continuing
just checked
that
out
flow.
for a second there, Kelly. Right after
Oh, I'm
interrupted.
sorry.
Repeat.
Oh, I don't know what I said now, but
We're talking about
I
flow,
was just
not being
I was
interrupted.
just saying, yeah, like not that break in
Okay.
energy, but that you're continuing to have that flow.
Mm.
I might go from one client to working with another client to interacting with my kids to being on my own, but that continuous flow of just being present and dialed in, and um and where I'm not thinking about how long is this going to take, or what do I need to do now. It's just all
Yeah, and when you say it that
going.
way, it feels like you're definitely more heart-centered, right? It's for me, it's like
Yeah.
get out of the head, put all of the thoughts and the doubts and the whatever's going on away and just like living from the heart. So I also think of flow. Not that I'm an artist, but if I were an artist, it's drawing or painting that picture without that interruption, and whatever comes out, and that's okay. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Or water. I think of water,
yes.
and that constant flow of a river,
Hmm.
right? Like you can stick something in it and it just goes around and keeps going. You don't stop it. and so, it just keeps going. And when a lot of the time, well, I shouldn't say a lot of the time, but some of the times when we'd go to the river as kids, we would take the inner tube and you just sit on it and you just go with it, right? Um, there was no effort involved. Rather than, I was a swimmer, so like swimming a lap, there's a lot of effort in that. But going with the flow, you just kind of float and you just go with it. I also see it as kind of like being easygoing, where you're just relaxed and, you're not easily disturbed or interrupted. Your energy flows not easily
Right.
taken off track because of
Yeah.
other things
So,
that are going on.
yeah, and what that reminds me of is like when someone tries to break your flow. So if someone were to come in, like you had mentioned earlier, and say, "Oh, Kelly, you're not really that person. You're behaving this way." If I'm in flow, whatever they say is just gonna literally flow off my back. It's like it isn't going to take me out. I
Right.
can still just stay on my track or floating down the river, whatever term you want to put it. But I can stay in my flow, in my heart center, knowing the truth of who I am at that moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
still live my best life. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And also, if by chance something happens and your inner tube flips over,
Yeah.
you always have the opportunity to ride it again and hop back on and keep going, right? And how fast that happens will change depending on situation and where you are in life, but you have that choice, right? You always have that choice to get back on and keep flowing. Um, or you can just continue to stand there and let your inner tube go and wait for, one to come again. But
I love that
I'm probably
analogy. That's
getting a little
great.
off on my analogy here,
That's a wonderful analogy. I love it. I'm going to remember that forever.
yeah. But I think when I think of flow and I think of that, I think of it as just this not ease necessarily, because I think you can flow and something still be challenging.
Mm.
Um and stuff, but that
We're
that
still moving forward.
determination, like that determination isn't exhausting. It's like energizing. I think of it
Mm.
as being energizing. Like when you're a lot of the time when Charlene and I are together in the same place, we're doing workshops. And so I'm usually behind the scenes making sure everything is flowing like it's supposed to, so that the participants are able to stay present and do follow along with what the leader is saying, and that is energizing. I'm in my flow, even though things might come up, things might get forgotten, things might get misplaced. I'm
Mhm.
still in my flow, right? Even
Yeah.
though things are happening and it might be a little challenging. And I can go from participant to supporter easily back and forth. And so it's kind of thinking of that, where yeah. So it just comes to energizing, not draining, I guess, is what I'm trying to say in a very long winded way.
Yeah. I also think of flow as like that intimate connection with, say, my girlfriends. I used to call them hen parties way back when. Husband goes away on a weekend, I have the hen party. And in that kind of flow, there's there's lots of things that happen when women get together in a room. There's
Yeah.
lots of storytelling. There could be some crying. There could be some emotion. There could be, telling some stories from the past or some things where people are struggling with. But yet, in that whole group, we're still all in flow because we're all there compassionately supporting one another through all of those emotions. And so one minute we could be crying and the next minute we could just be howling, right? And having a blast. So for me, that's like a bigger sense of flow and connection and intimacy.
Yeah.
And all of the things, all of the
Yeah.
elements.
And I feel like flow doesn't come until you're aligned, until you're
Mm,
in freedom, until you're
mm,
making those proactive choices that are going to get you moving forward into that flow.
yeah.
And I think that
Agree.
but also realizing that there are times that we have to get out of the river, right? And so
Yeah.
if that's your time, having compassion for yourself, having compassion for the rest period, right? We can't always be going. There
Mm,
has to be times where we rest and we recharge and we self-care and we whatever it might be, right? And
mhm.
then getting back at it. And I think sometimes that's where I can get forgetful is I get in the flow and then I realize I've been sitting at my desk for 4 hours straight. And, it's like, okay, Kelly, detach from the screen, go detach to a living person, or, rest your eyeballs, or eat something, or drink something, walk away, and I think then you can come back and you can get back into it, but there has to be those breaks. There has to be those points where you step away and you you rest or you recharge or you whatever you need to be then to keep going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to take the rests. And again, that's where I think where creativity comes in. Because if you take a break and you come back and you've got new, fresh ideas again to continue the flow that you had previously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Charlene, I have loved having this conversation with you. One, because we haven't gotten to talk in a while. Two, because I was able to showcase you and your amazingness here on this platform. And then just being a part and present in this conversation has been awesome. So thank you so much for coming on and being here with me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I love these conversations. Bring it on anytime.
Yes,
You're
thank
doing
you.
such great work, Kelly. I love it.
Oh,
You and
thank
your mom. Yeah, amazing.
you. If today's episode spoke to you, don't just watch, take action. Book your free consult with one of our expert coaches at chronichealthcollective.com for personalized support. Subscribe to our monthly magazine for powerful tips from all 10 coaches to elevate your life, mindset, and relationships. And join every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time or catch past episodes anytime on E360 TV or youtube.com/at Chronic Health Collective. Thanks for tuning in. Your transformation starts one bold step. See you next week.